All right, last night there were three Americans who had been imprisoned in Russia on illegitimate charges. Well, they returned home after the largest prisoner exchange since the Cold War. Well, what kind of diplomatic efforts took place behind the scenes to create this joyful reunion that we all saw? Joining me now to discuss this and more is retired U.S. Army Lieutenant Colonel Bob Maginnis. He's the Senior Fellow for National Security at the Family Research Council and the author of Kings of the East, China's Plan to Eliminate America and Impose a Communist World Order. Lieutenant Colonel Maginnis, welcome back to Washington Watch. Always great to have you, sir.
Well, thanks for having me, Jody.
All right, if we can, I want to get to the prisoner exchange, but even as we speak right now, as we all know, the supreme leader of Iran has said that he wants direct attacks against Israel. And even as we come into the program this evening, there appears to be all sorts of movement on military bases in the region all around. Looks like a very, very, very volatile situation developing. Do you have any comments or latest information that we need to relay to our viewers and listeners right now?
Well, we shouldn't be surprised. Iran, of course, is behind all the attacks on Israel. They funded and probably helped plan with Hamas the attack on the October 7th. They clearly are the funder and the provider of arms to the Houthis that have been firing not only on Israel, but disrupting all the maritime traffic in the Red Sea. And then, of course, they're the primary sponsors of Hezbollah, that unfortunately, launched a rocket that killed 12 young people there in the Golan Heights this past weekend. And so it's not a surprise given the shadow war that has obviously been going on between Israel and Iran for a long time. And then, of course, on April the 14th, as you'll recall, Jody, Iran, from its own territory, launched ballistic missiles at Israel. And most of them were shot down. But this on-again, off-again war has really heated up here recently. And it's quite possible that not only will Israel and Iran go to fisticuffs in one form or another, mostly through proxies. But of course, U.S. forces that are nearby in Bahrain, Iraq, Syria, and the like will take fire from militia groups that are under the control of the Quds Force, which of course works directly for the Iranian Ayatollah. So this is a very tenuous and tense time that we need to be watching.
You're not kidding. And it just seems like right now it's almost moment by moment. We're seeing some new developments there. We certainly here at FRC will be keeping a pulse on that and on our multiple news outlets from Washington, The Stand, and beyond. All right, let's go back, if we can, Lieutenant Colonel, with the prisoner exchange. Give me your overall reactions to that.
Well, this has been going on for some time. Of course, the Biden administration will tell you they've helped 70 people who were wrongly incarcerated by various entities across the world to be freed. The latest, obviously, being the three, one with a green card here that came home last evening. This negotiation is tense. It involved clearly 8 countries. The Turks really were the kind of the middleman here, and having seen the exchange actually take place there in Turkey. What's unfortunate, I think, certainly we celebrate the freedom that these people have, but the Germans had to give away or give back an assassin, basically a spy, a FSB, which was really the former KGB, to the Russians, along with others that were spies or outright criminals, mostly crypto criminals who have been used by the Kremlin to undermine the West, and of course to steal blind billions and billions of dollars of intellectual property as well as other types of property. And so, Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia, I think did this for 2 primary reasons. One, he really wants to send a message to his spy network around the world that he's going to cover their back. If they get arrested, incarcerated, he'll make deals to get them back home. And the second part, I think, is really about what's going on in Ukraine, the war that Russia started. What essentially they want to do is to demonstrate that the Russians can be worked with. They're pragmatic. You can negotiate with them. And then, of course, what Putin wants to walk away with is a big slice of Ukraine under his belly. And as a result, NATO is bowed by that particular bargain. Now, whether or not the West goes along with that's to be determined. But, there's a lot of gamesmanship going on here as well.
Absolutely. Let me play a clip for you and get your take on this. This is President Trump in relation to the prisoner exchange. Play clip 4, please.
When you start paying money or when you start making deals where you give, the kind of people, these are really some tough people that they got back, the toughest in the world. You start doing that, and all of a sudden you have a lot of hostages taken prisoner, so to speak, and you'll have a lot of things happening. It's very bad. It's a very bad precedent.
All right, we've only got less than a minute, but your take on that.
Well, I spent some time in the former Soviet Union and was tracked down by the KGB. I was fortunate that I wasn't taken captive and made a prisoner. Putting a dollar sign on the back of every American traveling to some of these, pretty bizarre locations is very, very dangerous. And I think to a certain degree, we certainly did it with the Iranian and the release a year or so ago. And I hope we didn't do it with these people, but I would be surprised if there wasn't a backroom deal with Blinken and the like with the Russian Lavrikov. That's the sort of thing that they do all the time. So, secrets will be revealed eventually, perhaps.
Lieutenant Colonel Maginnis, always great to have you on Washington Watch. Your insight and input is greatly appreciated. We appreciate it very much.